Well, thanks for having me, first of all, and it's a great privilege to do this interview because United definitely has made a strong and powerful contribution on my ministry and my life, and I'd love to just tell the world, really what just a quality experience I had. I was part of the second major. There was a group called the Proctor Fellows that went out across the country way back in 1989. And I don't have to list some of the powerful preachers in that group, but it closed quickly and you couldn't get in. So when I called about it, well, Jeremiah Wright was my pastor. He was in the group and it closed. I couldn't get in it. And he said, well, we think they're going to start another group. And Henry Mitchell would be the leader of that group. And so I had a great love of preaching. And one of my most seminal preaching books was The Recovery of Preaching by Henry H. Mitchell in 1973. So I jumped at the chance to study with Henry Mitchell. And so Dr. Mitchell was trying to put together a group of people who he could train to teach black preaching, because he felt like that if we did not train and mentor people, there wouldn't be people teaching black preaching. And so I didn't have any sense that I was going to teach black preaching or write in black preaching or do anything. I just wanted to learn preaching from Henry Mitchell. And so I got there and it was a fabulous experience. Dr. Ed Wheeler, we were the Mitchell Wheeler Fellows. And so we were the junior group because the Proctor Fellows were the real group. We were the junior group. But we had a great time. Cynthia Hale, Alvin Jackson, E.K. Bailey. I mean, we got a lot of folks in that group. We had a great time, and I really learned a lot from Dr. Mitchell about preaching. And subsequently from there, I began to teach preaching or augment my ministry of pastoring with the teaching of preaching. Well, one of the highlights was the mentor model. It was a very different model that was constructed than the regular, where you would have various classes with various people. We got a chance to really be, and it's like, developing a mentor and, being guided through for 2.5 years. That was the first thing that I got the chance to really study black preaching and really get some expertise in all preaching with Henry Mitchell, who at that point wrote the first, seminary work, respected work on black preaching, and some call the father of black preaching. And though what we mean by that, of course, is the first book, Black Preaching, that was recognized in seminary to try to quantify what black preaching was all about. And then I remember some of the worship services we used to have. We'd always have worship, and just the collegiality, the speakers that they would have in, we'd all hang around and hear Dr. Proctor. He would do the closing message, every Friday, and he just preached some fabulous sermons. I got a chance to, Then you got a chance to hang out with, Otis Moss, Charles Booth. I mean, I can call them, just hang out. Be in close quarters, and we all stayed in the same hotel. Dr. Proctor, you come downstairs, and Dr. Proctor's having breakfast. He said, well, Frank, come on, pull up a chair. And I'm sitting, having a conversation with Dr. Proctor, so how do you, there's no amount of money to replicate those kind of experiences, because you're sitting really with people who have a tremendous amount of life experience, ministry experience, and you are a young person, a young pastor, and it's invaluable. So many of those either late night conversations, early morning conversations, the lectures, the subjects. I remember one evening there was a debate between Cornel West and Molefi Asante. Now, where are you going to get a debate between Cornel West and, Molefi Asante? It was just fabulous. And so those were the kind of experiences that we just treasured, and I just grew so much from. And I think as complicated and as difficult as pastoring is these days, everybody needs professional development. That, many people argue, seminary didn't train me to be a pastor. I went to seminary, but the professional development did. Seminary was the base. A D-Min program and the professional development around the D-Min program really got me acclimated well to be able to adjust my education to real people, or what I knew in here to the congregation. And I will say this, I never would have dreamed that when I walked in here to study preaching for my own, the betterment of my own preaching with Henry H. Mitchell when I walked into United, that years later it would have all culminated not only in my own book on preaching, but in an anthology of African American preaching. And so, God has done it, and United, and so that's why I was so honored that you'd invite me or ask me to do this or invite me to come back, because you never know. You never know what God has. It's our responsibility to hone our gifts, to do the very best we can, to get education, to work, to sweat, scuffle, and struggle, and then watch God do amazing things.